a new level of questions that you want to bring to us. And that's what we're here for, is to share our best practices, our experience, get you quality answers to your quality questions, point you to the resources, all those things that are going to be helpful in you learning how to actually implement saving and spending at the same time.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. YouTube, we're finally up. What's up? The Cash Compound is our channel on YouTube. And if you want to go subscribe there, you've got a plethora of video content that we've got for you on our channel. Different sorts of things. We see a very similar style on each platform. So if you cross and bounce around on different platforms, you're going to see some new and different stuff. And Jesse, before the summer's over, we've got some new styled long form content going to YouTube. I'm really excited about.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. I was watching something from the Cash Compound just earlier today. I also like watching the pieces of content that I don't have a hand in being a part of. So it's good stuff.
You know it. Ladies and gentlemen, double tap on the screen out there if you like, love, or learn something on TikTok. We're glad you're there. Chocolate Rain. Yes, TikTok is a crazy dumpster fire, but when we're not burning, we are talking about getting that green money growing and cash flowing for you. So welcome, Nature Boy, and everybody else can throw in the chat where you're TikToking in from. Our headquarter office right here, and slightly upgraded studio.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, we got a new paint job from our office staff here, and Jonah, the other banking bro, as well as a new mural going on. Let me show you guys the mural.
TikTok's getting a view of
a little bit of it there
nice
for my TikTok fans. All right, so we're in South Carolina. Let us know where you're TikToking in from today. We're talking about your life and your money, and I want to talk about constant compounding. I want to talk about interest today, of all crazy things, okay? And the reason for that is because the folks who have joined us on our visual today, our visual platform today is the Zoom. So if you register, pre-register, it's totally free for the group coaching calls called Ask Me Anything on Thursdays. That's what we're on today. You can see some visual. Let's do some visuals today. I want to talk about compound interest, Jesse, versus amortized interest. And how does that play into our 3-cup setup that we have here on the table? If we're doing the 4 I's out there, it's the third I. We've got income, we've got insurance, and the third is investment. We've got interest coming and going in these infinite banking policies, don't we?
Yes, sir. All day, every day.
Okay, so here's my question to my TikTok universe out there. If you are earning a content, what are you earning right now? What's up, real Chris Kirkpatrick? Let's go. Chris Kirkpatrick what's up, my man? He is a great follow. If you are out there in the world of infinite banking, vetting this concept and idea, and you're a little bit confused about the differences between the products that are out there that people talk about, especially whole life insurance and indexed universal life insurance, IUL, Chris Kirkpatrick is a great follow. We advise that you look at some of his stuff. He's a great friend as well, and he's got a lot of great content on helping you. Because in the last 2 days, Jesse, I've had 2 separate conversations with people who've had IUL policies that were a little bit stumped on how they worked, or if they worked, or if there was cash in them.
Yeah, I like his stuff on the product out there as well.
Yeah, he says, thanks, man. Friends don't sell friends, IUL.
That's exactly
right. Is that true?
Right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
I don't have them, don't sell them.
Right. We don't. They can be useful, but for what they're normally marketed for and toward, we can have all the guarantees we want inside whole life insurance. So I don't think that I'm going to anytime soon be telling you to go find an IUL product for cash flow. We don't know for sure. Maybe some retirement dollars, but cash flow isn't the right word for it. It's not an infinite banking type of product. All right, double tap on the screen if you like, love, or learn something. And remember, if you're on our TikTok experience, you can follow right here. You're going to see more of our content more often if you do so. And you can go to our regular TikTok profile, and there you will find our Save and Spend System link. Save and Spend System link. Okay, one question quick before we get into our compound interest stuff. We got some slides here. Let me actually forward to it here in a second. Well, Jesse, you can talk about this in a second. But one question from TK, I think it is, kind of far away. TK on TikTok says, what company should I use? It's actually not the company. It's the type of company. And it's also the setup of the policy you buy from them. So the type of company is going to be a mutual insurance company, 100 years old, A-rated, that pays dividends. Then we're going to customize a specific thing we buy from them, whole life insurance. All of those go together, TK. It's not a company. We're not a company. We're an agency and a brokerage. We can work with several different carriers depending on your age, weight, height, and how ugly you are to get the right policy for you. But you want an A-rated company, 100 years old plus, been paying dividends every year without missing for a century, and we want to get whole life from there and customize it for Cash Cup 2 right here.
And it's so important because people think they can go directly to a company.
Oh, that'll mess them up.
And get what they want.
That'll mess them up. Or the company, honestly, the help desk, the customer service will send them toward an agent. They said, we use agents on purpose. That's why there's Jake in State Farm commercials.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we're here doing what we do.
Appreciate you, TK. Okay, follow along right there if that is helpful information. We got so much more coming. Jesse, tell us where we got all this information.
Sure. So back in 2015, we got a hold of this book and this information. It's Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. It's the infinite banking concept. We call it our save and spend system, and we show and we teach about it in this way, but it's infinite banking.
That's right. So if you hear infinite banking and never hear about R. Nelson Nash, Robert, I believe it was, Nelson Nash, be a little suspect because he's the one who coined that term. And he says there are do's and don'ts. There are yeses and nos in what I'm talking about. And a lot of the internet has really bastardized what this really means, what it could mean, where you buy it from, how you get it. And so you got to be careful. So we highly suggest this book, BYOB, 5th edition, as your field guide. This is your manual, okay? And then you get yourself a coach, which he mentions in the book. You get yourself an agent who is skilled and versed in this bad boy, and then they'll walk and talk you through how to become your own banker. Okay, as I mentioned, I want to talk about compound interest today. Constant compounding, we often say, and it's no different than compound interest, but we like to alliterate around here. And I want to talk about that verse amortized interest. Jesse, how would you define compound interest?
Well, compound interest is interest that grows upon itself perpetually and hopefully without interruption.
That's right. Compound interest, constant compounding is your money's money making money.
Mm-hmm.
Your money's
I love that.
money making money.
Marvelous.
Okay, marvelous. Okay, so you got your pad right there. So write this down.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have $100 and it's going to compound 10% over the course of 2 years, how much money do you have at the end of 2 years? That's the question. Jesse's going to figure it out. He used to be a high school educator. I think it was upperclassman math, wasn't it?
Sure.
It was
okay.
Spanish. It was Spanish. Okay, it's similar. Okay, user 163 says you can invest on your own. Don't give them your money. We would never take your money.
Don't give us your money.
Don't give us your money. But you can buy a guaranteed pool of someone else's money that's way bigger than your money, and then you can invest off of it all the time. Brendan says, can I request a new topic? How to become the bank, a.k.a. private lender. That is a great topic. We'll get there in just 1 second. I'll give you a little preview as you figure it out. If your money's money is making money, 10% compounded interest over 2 years. You start with $100. How much do you have at the end of 2 years? That's what I want to know. Okay.
Do I get to use my calculator?
No, you got a calculator. You got your hand right there. Didn't in high school, back when you were in high school, didn't they say you wouldn't have a calculator?
I did what I had to do to get through.
Sounds like Liam Neeson right now going to rescue somebody overseas. I did what I had to do.
I have a very particular set of skills.
There it is.
And math is not one of them.
Okay. Am I able to get started with the same company my job offers for our 401k plan? Sure. Is that the right type of company? I highly doubt it, TT. Highly doubt it. Your company is probably offering all sorts of great things that are completely different than whole life insurance that can be used as banks. They're probably offering you all sorts of things like money, maybe a company car, maybe even a qualified plan that you like. I might be skeptical of that qualified plan, but they're not going to be usually using a mutual insurance company that offers dividend-paying whole life insurance. Okay? TT, we'd love for you to get in a conversation with us so we can help you understand how that works and where you can get it from. Okay, so if you have $100... Everybody, we're talking about your money's money making money. Okay, so your money, how much do we have, Jesse?
$100.
$100. Everybody got it? Put 1 in the chat if you're with us. 1 for 100. Okay, I've got a Benjamin right here. Right? Benjamin Franklin is on the Hunnet. Okay, one of our founding fathers. Which number president was he?
That would be not.
Very good. He was not a president, but he is on the hunt. In year one, we have $100. So if we make a 10% profit return, our money's money, making money, we're halfway there. Our money made a 10% return over the course of 1 year. How much? I'll give you 10 seconds in there. How much do we have at the end of year one? We made 10%. Our money, $100, we worked hard for it. Grandma gave it to her for Christmas, whatever. How much? Dylan's got a query. Go ahead and ask. Dylan says, what if I never die? Good luck with that, Dylan.
Somebody wrote that?
Yeah. We get that every once in a while. Brendan says $110.
I guess it's been a while.
Yeah. $110. Very good. Okay, $110. Now we're still earning 10%. Our money makes money. So far we've had simple interest, but if this compounds, how much do we have at the end of year two? Jesse, we're not going to the polls for this one. I'm asking you.
I got 121.
121. What do you say, ladies and gentlemen? Is that right? Rosalind, Natasha, and our other guest over here on Zoom. Is that correct? If your money's money is making money, you start with $100 and you have constant compound interest over the course of 2 years, you end with 121. Very good, ladies and gentlemen. Double tap on the screen for Jesse. Give him a like and a follow and a heart out there. Okay, so let's look at this. For those of you who have not seen and experienced the crazy cranium explosion of compound interest, what we just talked about, and amortized interest, I'm about to blow your mind. We're going to put $50,000 in the game. Put a 5 in the chat right now. $50,000 is the number we're going with. I want to see if you guys are with me. $50,000, and it's earning constant compounding or compound interest at 4%. Got that, Jesse?
Got it, 4%.
4% each year. My question for you all is if you decided, instead of using your money, let's say this $50,000 is yours and it's in the regular bank. You got a bank that's actually earning you 4%. There's some online banks now that are back up to 4 for sure. Now, you ain't going to get that from Wells and B of A, Citi and Chase, but 4%, and you want to take your money out to buy something, maybe a car. Okay, that's what you want to buy. My question is, would you take a loan for 6%? If you had a 4% constant compounding growth on your dollars, we know your money's going to make money, but you decide, I don't want to actually have to pay payments to the bank. If I borrow from the bank and they offer me $50,000 at a 6% interest rate, is that a better deal? Does anybody think the answer is yes? Put a Y in the chat for yes. I'm going to earn at 4 and borrow at 6. Does anybody think that's a good idea? Jesse, when I first was getting walked through this example, I remember that I was just... It
seems so obvious,
It seems... Right. It just... What'd you think? You remember hearing this for the first time?
I just remember thinking it's so obvious. 6 is bigger than 4. That's a losing situation.
I think Rosalind just came in with a no. Okay, Rosalind came in with a no, right? We are earning 4% till double French. You speak.
Pardonnez-moi.
Okay.
Je parle un peu le français.
Well, here's what's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. There's a big difference between constant compounding or compound interest, the $50,000 earning 4% each year, over and over and over, and your amortized interest, paying down a loan, paying it down the balance at 6%. Those of us who are on the Zoom will be able to follow along to this really well. We're going to have a term of 6 years. 6-year term if you borrow $50,000 at 6%.
Pretty typical for something like a car.
Yeah. How many of you have financed a car? Put a double tap on the screen. Put a heart and a like. You've financed a car. You've borrowed money for a car. This is normal. Okay. So if you borrow $50,000 at 6% from a bank, that seems normal. What's your payment, Jesse?
Payment is $828.64.
Okay. Now that term again, how long are we doing this?
72 months, 6 years.
Okay. That's a typical time frame for a car. Okay. So how much interest do we pay to the bank? What does it all shake down to at the end? Just give it to us.
Yeah, the total ends up being close to another $9,000.
Okay, $9,000. $9,000 plus, right?
Yeah.
Those of us who can see it say, we've done that math for you.
662.
$9,662. That's how much you pay in interest. Put a Y in the chat. Yes, I understand. If I borrow $50,000 at 6% interest, pay it back to the bank for 6 years, 72 months, I end up paying them $59,662. Okay, you got it. Fit Mama. Fit Mama Llama. I like those Mama Llama books. You know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
That person does. Okay, at the same time, 72 months of your money staying in the bank. Jesse, remind us how much money we had in the bank. We borrowed money from them, but if we left our money in the bank, earning what should we have?
Yeah, so we left our $50,000 in the bank, and it was to be earning that 4% compounding.
Okay, and we're paying 6%. We're earning only 4, yes?
Yep.
Over the course of
6.
72 months or 6 years, how much money do we have at the end of that time?
So after that same time goes by of us paying 6%, almost that $9,000, closer to $10,000 in interest, if we left our $50,000 uninterrupted, compounding totals $63,256. It's another almost $4,000 difference.
Hold on, Jesse. You're telling me that while we were earning 4 but paying 6, we end up on top. Is that what you're saying?
Significantly, yes.
Significantly on top. Okay, hold on. I've got to help our fans and friends out there on TikTok see this visually. So we're going to flip it around for you guys.
Awesome.
Okay? This is a huge deal, and it does play into infinite banking very, very strongly. Okay, so take a look once again. You've got $50,000 earning 4%, constant compounding or compound interest for 72 months. It ends up being $63,000. Can you guys see it? Chris says you're reading a script. I'm actually pointing at things, so there's how would I read a script?
When you know what you know,
when you know
like
what you
we
know.
do,
Yeah.
it could sound like a script, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Ask us a good question.
Okay, very good. All right, TT says it. Very good. TT, help Chris out. Looks like Chris is going to be the hater for the next few minutes. Okay, now if you are borrowing $50,000 at 6%, that means you'll have a payment for 6 years of 82864 for a total of $59,000. You paid the bank $9,662. You gave them back their principal, and you made or have $63,000. You guys with me right now? How many of you just got your mind blown? You just got your mind blown. What we just showed you is the power of constant compounding at the exact same time that you're paying more in amortized simple interest. You guys understand what we're about to do. We're about to show you how you can save your money and spend someone else's and win every single time. Okay, here we go. Here's another question, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on. Can I give you another scenario? What if you are earning 5% and you have to pay off a loan at 10%? Jesse,
Wow.
That now 5 and 10.
It seems preposterous when you put it
Doesn't it?
like that. Yep. I mean, it's double. It's double. So that seems like a preposterous difference between the two.
Right.
If you could only earn 5%.
Alan, give it to me right now. Alan Shelton, here's my question for you. Would you do a deal at 10% interest you got to pay while you're earning 5%? Yes or no? Who's in? Alan, I want to know if you're in. Open-minded, welcome, welcome. Queen, Lynx, welcome. Double tap on the screen if you like or love or learn something here today. Okay, who is going to do a deal where they're earning 5% and they have to pay loans at 10? Who's going to do that deal?
You've got to know that the typical person says no, or at least being asked the first time.
Well, I'm just wondering.
I'm
right?
saying no.
Yeah, I'm just seeing.
Yep.
Okay. All right, here we go. At the same 6 years, look what happens. A 926 payment, 6 years, ends up being $16,600 in interest. That's steep. It's a decent amount of interest. $16,000 profit for somebody. Meanwhile, you made 17. You made 17 over the course of the same amount of time. Remember, if you'd used your money, it would be zero right now.
Yep.
You'd have whatever you bought for $50,000,
Yep.
but you'd have no money. You wouldn't have $67,000. In this system, you got a car, you've bought the car, you've paid for it, you even paid the interest, $16,000, but you now have a car and you have more money than you even paid.
Because your money's money was making more money.
Because your money's money was making money. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very applicable to what's going on when we decide to use our preferred product, whole life insurance from a mutual company, as a bank. Very similar things are happening. I don't know if you want to buy cars, pay off your debt, or get into investments, but your money's money is making money, and you can leverage against it without stopping your compounding. There'll always be more to be able to leverage against. Shout out to all of our friends on the Zoom. Any questions for from our friends on the Zoom about what's going on? I know several of you are on the move out there. I don't know what's going on.
Natasha and I have spoken some back and forth this week. And a lot of that takes place in our Facebook group. A lot of these conversations get continued onto our Facebook group. So if you've yet to find Infinite Bankers, that's the name of our Facebook group, Infinite Bankers. It's a good place to share best practices, see how people have used this concept that we're showing of uninterrupted compound growth versus amortized in that Facebook group. People are sharing their examples, their real life scenarios, best practices. It's a good thing.
Indeed. We got a few more questions out there, and we'll get into them. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, Sean, okay, how do you structure it so it'll do exactly that? Policy is going to have automatic constant compounding in it. Let me give you the 3-cup setup right here. Cup number 1, maybe it should be this way. Depends on which camera we're looking at.
Right.
It could be cup 1 over here, left, most cup or whatever. Premiums have guarantees on them. So let me tell you what's going on. Number 1 is the dollars you put into insurance are going to have constant compounding on them. Now, what's interesting about that, nobody thinks of it like this, is that constant compounding is not reflected on these dollars. It's reflected on the dollars you bought. See, if you give an insurance company money, you actually bought insurance. In life insurance companies, that's going to be life insurance proceeds. They're called death benefits. And the growth happens to the dollars that you bought. Your dollars are earning constant compounding, creating a pool of their money that's liquid and leverageable, and that is called cash value. It's just the equity you have in the total. It's the equity you have in the big number, cash value. Those numbers get larger and larger throughout your life. We're just going to set up the policy on purpose so it pulls the lever where you have cash value early. Got it? You have cash value early. Those of you who are wondering about the book, yeah, you can probably find it somewhere in our profile. It's obviously on Amazon. Go find it. BYOB, Becoming Your Own Banker. It's the popular one. You'll see 6th edition sometimes. It's great, but use the black one we suggest. 5th edition. And let's talk about that when you get on a free consultation call. We've got free calls we're passing out. Jesse's been taking calls all last in this week, yes?
Yes, sir.
Talking to all sorts of people. Now, Jesse, how many people can you help? Like North Carolina, where you live, South Carolina, where I live?
All across the country. I mean, and it even still happens that I end up talking with somebody in the Caribbean, somebody in the UK. I mean, people all around the world are seeing our stuff, of course, and I'll spend a little bit of time to encourage them to do it the best way that they can. Now, if you're in Canada, we've got folks that we know up that way, but anybody in the 50 states, we can directly work with you and custom build these policies. That's why we have those free consultation calls.
Yep. We got you all over the place. Even those folks who are like U.S. citizens, because I think it counts you're a U.S. citizen, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands. We can help you. You probably have to swim on over and set foot over here in the New World, Plymouth Rock. But you don't have to be a citizen, but just know that in some of those territories, it's not too hard if you're going to come to the States sooner or later. Okay? All right. Sean says, it whole or term? Remember, term is a rental. You don't have any ownership. There's no equity. That's what a rental is. But if you buy, you consistently, as you pay premiums, grow in ownership or equity. This is liquid money. We're going to use whole life for that. Term has no liquidity. Great question there. Brendan, explain the importance of Rich Dad, Poor Dad that people need to read. That's a great book. Jesse, have you read it?
Yeah, one of my favorites in personal finance for sure.
All right. I read it when I was a senior in college. Barely understood it, but I did understand that working harder wasn't going to guarantee I won.
Correct.
In the money game. What I learned there mostly was I needed money to be working for me. I needed leverage. I need people, right? Rich Dad had businesses, not a job in that book. And I was like, man, I had a job. I stole the book from a guy I worked for to read it. Like I did. He was moving. He was building a house that had an elevator in it. That was pretty big time where I came from. And so they were moving stuff. We're moving stuff. I did all sorts of stuff for him, a right-hand man. He owned cleaning companies. So we were always in and out of buildings. And as he was rearranging his former home into his new home, I saw that book on the shelf. Well, I stole it, and I read it, trying to figure out what was going on. I didn't tell him until after I finished it, just in case someone was looking for it needed. I was like, I need to finish this. And I'm sitting in his truck, and I said, all right, I just read this book, pulled it out of my bag or something. I saw it on your shelf. I took it. I mean, this is a big deal.
Right.
I was like, can you explain to me what's really happening here and going on? It still didn't quite, you know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up with that stuff, you know?
Yeah, and lots of people start with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and if you continue reading Robert Kiyosaki's books, he actually addresses other important topics like insurance, if you're paying attention, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Now, the second book in the Rich Dad series, I believe it's probably book 2, Cashflow Quadrant, is actually my favorite. And it's because I've surpassed the mindset of just understanding and having a realization moment with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I get into some fine-tuned details about your investor DNA. We were talking about that earlier. Investor DNA, the quadrant, ESBI, and that is really my favorite book out of the ones that I've read. I've read Business of the 21st Century, talks about growing networks, network marketing type stuff, affiliate marketing. I've read a couple of his, but not a lot. I've started to get into Tom Wheelwright's book, who's his accountant, the CPA accountant guy. You read some of that stuff?
I've not read it. Listen to their podcast.
Yeah, and they've co-hosted a couple of the Rich Dad books together. So it's good stuff. I appreciate you bringing that up. All right. I can't see people's names today. I'd like to call them out. Finance with Michael. Finances with Michael says, infinite banking is terrible. Do real investments.
Said no one who ever did it well.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's go do investments. We've got cash now, income tax-free and growing. Liquid, unrestricted for our use. Why don't we go do investments? Finances with Michael. What investment should we do? We got money now. We've got money without interrupting ours. Ours has constant compounding growth, which we just talked about. Hopefully you guys saw that, but I'm in for it. Copy money. Yeah, my real money is inside whole life insurance, and my real investment dollars are not on this table either. This is a visual. Thanks for stopping by. The Millionaire Fast Lane was a good one. I don't know the Millionaire's Fast Lane. Is that a Rich Dad Poor Dad book?
It's new to me. I don't recognize that title.
All right, I don't know that one. Tell us more. Tell us more. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're here for the first time, put a 1 in the chat. We're going to help you understand the infinite banking concept, how to save and spend money at the exact same time. What we've got for you here is a link in bio. We'd love for you to get in contact with us, first by watching our video. We've got a great produced presentation video for you where you can go from A to Z in infinite banking to see what it is, how it's set up, and what you can do with it to get your mind expanded in less than an hour. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep, I love it. It's actually a new video. It's an updated video. I appreciate the visuals. I appreciate some visual with verbal explanations, and it's the best of both worlds. We're walking and talking you through the concepts that we're showing here, but the visuals are really helpful, and it facilitates a lot of those aha moments, especially if you're seeing this type of information for the first time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's our next question. Well, we got one from here before we go to Jesse. We're going to ask a question to everybody here. See, would you rather? But we've got one person saying IUL or whole life. Reminder that an IUL is an indexed universal life insurance policy, and it doesn't have the same guarantees. It has possibilities. But to trade up for those possibilities, you have to trade away the guarantees.
Very different types of contracts.
Very different types of contracts, even though they smell and look the same to the untrained eye. But you and I can go over IUL contracts together. I've done 2 in the last 24 hours for people who had IUL policies. I read them some things. I pointed at some things on policies they already owned. Didn't get them from us. And I asked them, is this what you thought it was, and is this what you want? Both times it was no. 2 for 2 in the last 24 hours. We'd love to help you. 2 for 2. So if you have one or someone has given you paperwork, IUL people like paperwork a lot more than we do, not because of what the contract says, but what the numbers look like. They'll give you the paperwork.
How they can be projected.
How they can be projected. I like that. Okay, here's the question. Jesse has a question for everybody.
Sure. And this is another one of those aha moments for me thinking back when I was first asked this. And the question is, would you rather have a penny that doubles every day for the next 30 days, or $1 million. A penny that doubles every day for the next 30 days only, or $1 million.
Now, how many times does my $1 million double?
Just the $1 million.
Just the $1 million.
You can take only one. Got to pick.
All right.
What's your choice?
We got a couple pennies out there. Anybody going to stick with me? I said $1 million when I first saw this 10 years ago, for show. A penny doubling, what is that going to do? 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Not this penny. That's not enough money.
No.
I said I wanted $1 million. But we have several people saying the penny out there. All right, Jesse.
I'd like to think that we have overall a more educated, financially astute crowd.
I beg to differ, but they have been on the internet more.
I began that sentence by saying I would like to think. What?
I think we've all not done the math. We've just seen the joke. We've seen the punchline before. Okay, so what does this penny end up looking like after a few days?
Yeah,
Jesse?
so essentially in the first week, you don't have $1. Not $1. Very unimpressive. The other guy's out spending his $1 million however he wanted to be able to do that, right? After 2 weeks, you don't even have a $100 bill. Equally unimpressive. Third week, same thing. It's just unimpressive. The real magic happens in the last 3 days. So in the third to last day, you crack $1 million. So it took almost the full month, right, for you to hit the $1 million and a pinch more.
Pinch?
But you still got two more days.
Spell that.
Pinch, P-I-N-C-H.
No. That was P-E-A, something that you said. P-E-A-N-C-H-E.
You're making fun of my enunciation now.
Yes.
But you do have to remember that you do have 2 more days to go. So what does that mean? If you had $1 million, third to last, well, that means second to last day, you got $2.something million. And that means that on the last day, the 30th day, you've got $5.3 million. So there was a $4 million plus difference in those two scenarios. And that's a pinch of a bit of a different result.
Pinch. Different word. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the reason that we get that question wrong, I know I have, look at that money, $5.3 million, is because the money that I stash, where I stash my cash traditionally, is always in places that is never getting that constant compounding. Mm-hmm. Einstein said it best, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it, makes it, keeps it. He who doesn't, pays it. Okay? So let's look at what happens if the dollars that we want to compound end up with fees on them. Okay, we got a 2% fee on our penny that was $5.3 million. No, 2%. Brokerage fees, account fees, overdraft fees.
Right.
No big deal, right? Well, what do we end up with?
Fees. But with even what seems like a small number, 2%, right? With what seems like a small number. If you do walk down to day 30, you can see that, well, you're less than 3 million. You didn't even keep the 3 million. So you've lost over $2 million just because of the adverse compounding of a 2% fee.
Ain't that crazy? It eliminated $2 million, over $2 million just to have that fee on it. Mm-hmm. Well, what if you could place your dollars in an environment with constant compounding and no fees?
Sounds beautiful. Right? Sounds ideal.
You guys with us out there? If you're liking, loving, and learning anything on our TikTok feed, go ahead and let us know.
And again, if you do look at the numbers, if you care, I mean, if you look at the beginning, that's where it could be elusive because you could think, well, it's not that big of a deal. But you don't know that until you get to the end and realize that the $2 million is gone.
Okay, now what about taking money out? Money's no good to sit around. Mm-hmm. We got to withdraw it, and we got to buy gas and groceries and creature comforts, right? Yep. All those types of things. So let's put $100 withdrawal in here, as you can see, ladies and gents. 2 times. What happens?
And that's natural. And we want to be able to maintain access to our capital. But here's the difference. If your access to the capital is withdrawing from the compounding, walk the same scenario out, you're down to $2 million. Now you've seen over $3 million disappear that would have been there just because you took out $100 2 times.
And that's powerful.
$100 2 times made a $3 million difference.
In the wrong direction.
And it doesn't even matter when that would have happened either. We illustrated at day 15, day 25. You see the same types of losses no matter when you see those losses too, which is
That's a good point.
Which
That's
is
a good
neat.
point. Okay, we got a question here on TikTok. How long do you have to wait to pull out? Money is the question. Okay. All right. That was like a Yoda question. We assume you mean borrow against your life insurance policy, the one we're talking about here, getting set up so you can get constant compounding and growth. That is going to be custom to your policy makeup. We design policies for immediate cash use, immediate cash value borrowing power. That means within 30 days, Mr. Undone, 30 days, baby, we're going to be able to get to dollars with ours still earning the compounding. All right, Jesse, what happens if we pay taxes?
Yeah, let's
In
talk
South
about
Carolina,
taxes.
we have taxes. I don't know if you guys got taxes out there. Put a 1 in the chat. Who's paying taxes and who hates it? I'll actually add that together. Put a 1 in the chat.
Love it. All right, so here what we're showing, nothing egregious, right? Just a 15% tax. Walk the same scenario out. Look at this. This is ridiculous. We're missing a whole complete digit. We're not even in the millions anymore, okay? After the same 30 days, just with a 15% tax, we've only got $500,000, half of 1 million, when we had over 500 million possible.
5 million, 5.3 million.
It's ridiculous.
Ain't that something?
But it's wild.
Isn't it? Okay, now, Rosalind says, from our Zoom experience, how are you able to access the cash so quickly? Well, I'm sorry, that was a direct message, Rosalind. I hope it was okay to share it with everybody.
Yeah.
Well, it's Jesse,
question for everybody.
explain why in the world we have access.
Yeah, and if you listen to plenty of entertainers and marketers online, they will tell you that you can't. They will tell you that it'll be 10 years before you could get access to cash value from a whole life insurance policy. And they could be correct if it's not built the way we're talking about. And that is so important as to why it matters who you work with, how the policy is built, who with, all those types of things. So your access looks like this. When you've paid your first premium into a policy, the way that we've constructed it, it immediately has a cash value. It immediately has that guaranteed death benefit. It immediately has both of those. And just like Jeremiah said, you can leverage that cash value within 30 days of a brand new policy in one of two ways. Log in online, have them send the money to you, or make a phone call to the company, have them send the money to you.
All right, Bad Buckle Boys has some questions. Well, he actually has some butthurt feelings, but let me answer some questions. That was all new to me, never heard any of that. And his immediate next comment was, haven't learned anything new, nor has any of my questions been answered. Peace. We'll see you. Okay, next person out there is back to Ms. Rosalind. Here we go.
Awesome.
So, Ms. Rosalind, what we're going to do is remind you that there's lots of different types of car insurance, yes? Mm-hmm. You've got Allstate, I got Nationwide. You got Prudential out there, you got Jacob State Farm, you got Comprehensive, I got Liability, you got AAA, I got OnStar, you got Towing, I got Rental Car. So they're different, aren't they? You had someone tell you, hey, car insurance doesn't include AAA, is what you got told when it comes to whole life insurance policies. And we're saying, well, maybe it doesn't include it at that person's company.
Maybe they don't know how
Maybe
to build
they
policies
don't
the way
know.
we do.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Now, Jesse, I have USAA, actual insurance. Who's your car insurance with?
Progressive currently.
So that means we probably got one or two different things going on, right? We live in different states, right? We drive different vehicles. Rosalind, you got it now? You got it now? Okay, we're going
I'm just
to
glad I
engineer.
anticipated that second question.
We're going to engineer the policy on purpose. Okay. Yes. Now you get it. See how crazy it sounds when someone breaks it down? The Bible says that the first guy sounds good till a second person comes along and examines. I mean, that's not KJV, so you don't know where that comes from. But it's in Proverbs.
That didn't seem familiar to me.
I said it in the new J-Do version. Okay. But KJV says it in a way I can't remember. So I said the principle. Okay. The principle is the first guy sounds right until someone comes along and examines. That's Proverbs. Okay. Rosalind knows what we're talking about now. Yeah. Well,
examine things. It's a good principle.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you get, well, it's biblical. I don't need your approval. It was already in there. The Lord wrote that a long time ago. Jesse, come on now.
Ad lib.
All right. Cody, what's up? Love you too, man. Raul says, what is the interest rate to borrow from the cash value? Great question. How much can we get to within 30 days? Cody, we have built you an entire video for that. We do want you to watch that. It's right here. Keep covering up Jesse's face to see it. Go ahead and click the follow button right here. It's on top. Watch our save and spend presentation. You can see numbers. We picked a premium for you. If you don't like that premium, wait longer in the video. We picked a different premium. Okay, we got a couple examples in there. And you can get to approximately day one, how much equity you have in the death benefit is going to be a number that's about 50% of what you put in day one. A separate pool from your money that you can leverage. Your money will keep constantly compounding. Raul says, what's the interest rate to borrow from the cash value? That also is slightly variable from company to company and year to year. And that number is very similar to the calculators we were just showing everybody on our screen. So if you can join us for something visual or you watch the video, you'll see it. But I'm going to challenge you. Well, today, because we're using this number, let's say it's 6. Let's say the borrowing interest rate while you're compounding an interest rate, same time it's going on. Let's say it's 6. Let's say it's 6. Ask new questions about it. We'll give you new answers. Or in many cases, we might have to go back and redirect you to what we just said. But watch the video. Okay, what else can we help you guys with? This hour is really flying by. We got another 10 minutes. We're always live for at least an hour on Thursdays. We hope you join us next week as well. And we're going to be talking about more of the infinite banking concept. Today, we're talking about interest and answering your questions. Interest, compound, constantly compounding, the penny, the million, amortized interest, borrowing money. What happens if we're doing all this stuff at the same time? Is it possible? Can we still win if we're leveraging OPM?
My question that I like to ask to respond to a question about interest rate is to ask somebody, what amount of interest would you like to give to your money, right? If you have this compounding pool of capital that you could get to and you could pick a number, what kind of value are you willing to put on that compounding pool of capital? In my mind, it's a number bigger than 6. That's too small for me. I want to attribute a greater interest rate to mine. If I want to be using this money for things that I'm going to be buying, if I'm going to be using this money for vacations, if I want to be using this money for real estate deals, if I'm going to be using this money for something, a number bigger than 6 comes to my mind, and I want to recapture a bigger number than that back into this save and spend system. So just food for thought. What value would you put on your money?
All right. Great question out there, Mr. Unknown. Are these, not sure what that meant right there. I think it's a typo. Are the payments monthly or weekly toward the insurance? You pay insurance now. Is there any insurance that anyone has?
I do get asked that. People
I get asked it, but I'm just saying.
Enough.
We do
but
get asked it.
This is regular insurance in that way.
Okay.
Annually.
Anybody here?
Monthly.
Anybody here has any insurance? Cars, phone, fire, anything? Valuable property that they pay weekly? Anyone? We'll wait. I'm asking. I'm being tough because I'm going to be asked again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to be asked again tomorrow. But no, nobody pays insurance weekly. It's not a thing. Monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annual. You pay on whatever frequency makes sense to you.
And part of it's the mindset that conventional financial wisdom is telling us, because they're saying, well, hey, every week when you get paid, you need to put some of your money at risk in this 401k or what have you. We are used to that.
Right. Okay. So, anyway. Monthly premiums is what's normal for people, if not annual. You pick whichever one you want to do. All right, PT Fo. I'm interested. What does it typically cost to have you write this type of policy? $0 is how much it costs. Your contribution to the system is the premium you give the insurance company. Okay? We don't charge anything. I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, but the contribution is premium. Your dollars go to the insurance company. It buys you a much bigger pool of theirs. We set it up for leveraging power from the jump. Okay? You pick the premium. You pick the premium. All right, good stuff out there. If you're liking, loving, or learning anything, double tap on the screen. We'd love to get some hearts out there to the world and maybe some shares. Right about there, you should see a share arrow. You can give this to a friend, family member, or church or charity. Whoever it is that needs to know this information is waiting on you to share it with them. We're
Everybody
here to
needs
tell
to
the
know
world.
it. I wouldn't know it if somebody hadn't shared it with me.
That is correct. I'm glad someone reached out. And for me, it was kind of bass-ackward the way I got introduced. And I'm really thankful because 10 years later, I'm more excited than I was the day I started.
Right.
Okay. Rosalind, thank you for joining. I know you have to roll. I think you just did roll. Yep. Okay, great.
Perfect.
But we will be in touch. Thank you.
We'll watch the video.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what else do we want to have for me out there today? Appreciate a couple more shares. A thank you there. What we do personally is save our dollars. I do it. Jesse's family does it as well. We save our dollars in premiums, whole life insurance premiums from mutual companies. It buys us money for our future, and it guarantees to cash flow it for the rest of our lives, and we utilize that for financing things, a word I didn't quite understand 10 years ago. Can you have multiple policies? Mr. Unknown and I were on the same page. I got 9, 2 on myself. Yes, is the answer to your question. Jesse, how about this one? Sean asks, if your account cash value, I'm a little wary of calling it an account.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not because there's anything wrong with it. It's because people who use IULs have a tendency to call it an account. Okay. If you have cash value making more than the premium, can you just start letting it compound? Whew, that's a yeah. We know what they're asking, but
run it back by me like it is.
Okay, I'll say it as is. If your account cash value is making more than the premium, can you just start letting it compound?
Great. Okay. So the way that I interpret that is the example that comes to my mind is retirement years, passive income years.
And there's an addendum.
Okay.
Without paying more on it.
Okay. Yeah. So that could certainly play into what I was going to describe right there is when folks are using this save and spend system actively in their life, financing things that they're doing, and then they get to a time where it's time for retirement or passive income, for sure, these policies, the way they're designed, and that improves in how you use them, can get to a point where they're so efficient that their growth can more than cover their own ongoing premiums and still create a surplus of tax-free capital that you can get to year over year over year while still providing this big old death benefit at the same time. So, yes, we build these policies to where you'll have more and more growth year over year. The policies just get more and more efficient, and they can even do all that I just described. Pay their own premiums, provide you with tax-free capital that you can get to for your use, and still culminate in a tax-free windfall to the next generation with the death benefit.
Guys got it? Sounds good? What is the max age to start? There is no max age. If you and your own person are actually uninsurable because of age or any other reason, you can start on someone else. You have insurable interest on other people like family members and business partners, and you don't have to be the body. What's up, Round Goblet? Do you guys do IULs? We sure don't. Thanks for asking. Black says, I need to start another policy, Jeremiah. Whoa, you got me going on my first one. Let's go, Black. DM me right now so I can find you because I don't know you as Black. I'll know you as a different name we've got in our system. So let's get another one going. Appreciate it. DM me on this channel. I'll jump off in 5 minutes here, and we'll be talking soon. We'll help you understand. Okay, Natasha, we see you out there. Did you want to say something verbally or just type it in the chat?
I do, yeah. I didn't feel like typing it all out in the chat. Thanks.
Go for it.
My husband had this question that kind of relates to the question that you just answered.
Okay.
Obviously, a few years down the line, we'll have enough cash value to pay our premiums out of that. But he was saying at the beginning, what if we got jammed up and we couldn't do our monthly premium? Like, what happens if you miss a month or two, basically, was his question for he's just a worst case scenario type person.
I guess Jesse wants to answer. I know I'm going to say something different than he would say.
Go ahead then. Go. I'll go last.
No, you
That's
go
fine.
first.
What?
You move first. You flinched. You answer it first.
I
Good
didn't
question,
flinch.
Natasha.
I was
the
assertive.
The question out there, you guys can't hear this one. Remember,
that's
extra
right.
privileges for our friends over here on Zoom. If you can't pay the premium, what happens? If you get a month behind, 2 months behind, is this a thing? What happens? How does this work? What's going on? What happens when the policy can fund itself eventually, but maybe you have struggled to fund it to get it to that point? Jesse, take it away.
Yep. I think there are several layers of contingencies, and those are good to be aware of from the start, Natasha. So number one, it begins with your conversation with your advisor or your agent, right? Them being familiar with your cash flows and what kind of a spectrum of premium you've considered from the start. That way, when a policy is built, the premium that you have chosen fits in your plans. It is appropriate for you, not too big, not too small. And of course, we all end up looking back over time saying, man, I wish I'd have started bigger.
It's always, I wish I had put more in.
Right. But you start where you start, number one, based on a conversation with your practicing professional, right? That's the biggest one. It's the most important one, and it's the first one, so I'm going to say it out loud. But really, once you already have the policy, the way we build them, okay, there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to those contingencies. So number one is whatever your set regular scheduled premium is not the actual minimum that's required to keep the policy in force and to keep the death benefit and to keep the capital that you funded into the policy compounding. There's a number, and I'll ballpark it at 50%. Again, we custom build policies, but general rule of thumb, let's say half of your full regular scheduled premium is actually closer to what the minimum in your particular contract is probably going to be. So just don't fully fund the policy that month. Weather the storm, okay, and then get back to fully funding the policy next month or next quarter or next year, whenever you can. All right, so that's the number one. It's just a real simple contingency, right? Don't fully fund the policy until you can get back to doing that. That one makes sense so far?
That makes very much sense.
Right.
So is that a question because I think Jeremiah knows we're already in the
process.
Process of having policies written, and I think it needs to go through approval.
Yep.
So is that a specific question we could say, hey, we're at this minimum, or this is what number we have monthly, what's our minimum? Like we can ask that personally, like offline for our policy.
100%. It already has a base on it.
Yep. I've seen y'all's cases too in the system. Yeah. So they've already been built that way. And then the second contingency that I would run by you, real simple, real easy, is let's say your timeline goes longer, right? The storm continues. It's not a month-long problem. It's a quarter-long problem. It's a year-long problem. So not only could you not just fully fund that policy for that month until you can get back to it, or that year until you can get back to it, but if you have been proactively building capital in the policy, you've got cash value in cup number 2 that you can tap into to either pay future premiums in that policy or that you can use to help you weather that storm. I mean, so it's a win-win situation always to be building as much capital as you possibly can into this private banking system. And then those are some of the types of, contingencies because of the flexibility of how we build these policies that you have access to.
So that's what I told him, but he didn't believe it for me. Okay. So I wanted you guys to say it. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Sure. There's also a third contingency, but I have some questions to answer on TikTok, so I'll come back to it. Stay with us, Natasha. Okay. All right. Round Goblet says, hey, wait, you guys promote? What you guys promote, is it similar to IULs? No, what the IUL people promote is similar to the guarantees in whole life. That's what you're getting confused. What IUL has some similarities in verbiage and language about what happens to whole life, but it's actually guaranteed and growing in whole life. IULs have some similarities, and the differences don't outweigh the contingencies in IUL. That's what you have to be careful of. A contract that is whole life is guaranteed to do these things. IUL says, hey, the potential is the moon. Yes, but the risk is also back in the game. That's a good question. Stick with us and learn more about that. IUL at the same time. One more question. You can have whole life and oil IUL at the same time. Sure, you can have as many as you like. Yes, Round Goblet, you've got to be careful. IUL is what's sold and told 10 times more often on the internet, and it has similarities to whole life, but not guarantees. Whole life is guaranteed to do it. Always go up, growing cash flow, and you'll almost never hear about it if you just scour the internet generally. If you scour TikTok generally, you won't realize that. There are different things, and you'll get thrown off. Okay, here's the third contingency, Natasha. Third contingency is dividends. We utilize mutual insurance companies. At the end of each year, if and when there are profits, the insurance company has profits for the policy owners, policy holders, the mutual benefactors of the company. That's you. That's me. So those dividends might take care of the premiums if you wanted them to. Jesse, do you want them to?
No. If it's nice to have the option in case I did want to. But that's not what I want to do.
Yep. Okay, remember, and Natasha, in the event, in the early years, you can't fund the premium you picked. Don't skip over that. Jesse said that. You picked it, so pick a number you can do, knowing that there's a contingency floor, and we'll tell you what it is. Mm-hmm. I'll text you after this. Mm-hmm. If you didn't pay and you got cash, the cash is automatically, because I set it up that way, going to take care of it for you. Just wanted to make sure you got some of those contingencies in your mind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still out there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still out there, we're going to wrap things up here in a second, and we suggest you get in a conversation with us. We have free cash consults with our coaches around here. Watch that video for you. It'll help you a lot. We got our private Facebook group. Anybody who might be joining us on the YouTube channel. We're live every Thursday afternoon, 3:30 Eastern time to do this. And we are okay. Thank you for keeping doing it. You're welcome. You're welcome. So whole life is guaranteed and not IULs. IULs are not guaranteed contracts to grow in cash flow. Whole life insurance is guaranteed to grow in cash flow. It's in the paperwork. IUL is not. I'll read you your own IUL. You have one? I'll read it to you. I've done 2 different family readings, bedtime story of their IULs. Nightmare story. I don't know. On Zoom in the last 24 hours. I'll read you your paperwork. You tell me. Is that what you thought? And is that what you want? Michael says, what happens to cash value if you die? You don't die, Michael. You do die. You will die. Reminder for everybody who doesn't realize what cash value is. Michael's going to try to refute this in a second, but I'm not giving any opinion in the next 30 seconds. This is what cash value is. Cash value is how much of your death benefit you could borrow against. So what happens to death benefit, Michael, when you die? Not if. Because cash value is just how much of it is liquefied if you call them and ask for it. So what if that's true, which it is, I told you was my opinion, what happens to death benefit when you die? That might be my last question for the afternoon. I'm just checking to see. Michael got it. Okay, very good. I got 2 thumbs up. Love it. Cash value is a portion of the whole. It's your equity. What happens to your equity in your house if you sell the house? Well, there goes your equity. You sold the house. You get the big number. Mm-hmm. Equity was just how much of it you had paid off, but you now sold everything. You recouped it all. Got it? Round goblet. Didn't the Rockefellers do IULs? No. IULs did not exist until 1997. So you tell me if John D. Rockefeller, who died in 1930, had an IUL. IULs did not exist. Google it. Till 1997. I made up whatever year John D. Rockefeller died. I don't know.
Oh, I was actually impressed. I mean,
1930 something. So, no, he didn't have one. He had a whole life. Good way of explaining this. There's a lot of bad information on TikTok. Agreed. Chucko Man. Welcome back. I think you were on yesterday, day before. Ben says, I'm confused. All right, I'm going to stay 1 more minute for Ben. Ben, you better be typing right now. Ben, what can we do for you? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, all the rest of you, follow us at the Banking Bros. Go ahead and go to our YouTube channel. Shout out to everybody who may have stopped in for a few minutes on YouTube. Not a lot of chatter today, but our YouTube channel is The Cash Compound. We're coaches around here. We help people save and spend money the exact same time, and you can always join us on Zoom. We gave several visuals today. We'd love to see you on a Zoom call. We can hear you. You can talk back to us. That's what Natasha did. Shout out to Natasha. I owe you a text shortly. Text me now. I'm going to forget. Text me now. Ask me that question, and I'll answer your base. Okay. Bobby J says, John D. Rockefeller died May 23rd, 1937. Is that today? May 23rd?
Not today.
No. May 23rd.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was still impressed that you said 1930 something.
Right,
so
right. I've been doing my homework, y'all. I've been writing a paper on you people. May 23rd, is that today?
Is it? I don't know.
I think it is. All right, Dalton says, so what the life insurance policy would I need to do? Dalton, have you been around for a little bit? Dalton, click the link in the bio. We set them up custom. Watch that video. Yes, it is today. I got it. Round Goblet says, curious, are you guys actual millionaires? Did we say we were or weren't? What does that mean? What is an actual millionaire?
That's what I was gonna ask. You tell me what a millionaire is first.
Okay, yeah. I have purchased, watch this. You can buy, with your money, you can buy your gross and net worth. Mm-hmm. And I've bought well over $1 million.
Yep.
I bought it. It's guaranteed to happen to my family in the future. And when I don't die, it is guaranteed to cash flow toward me so I can use it. You can buy, borrow, and die. You ever heard that one? Buy, borrow, die. You don't have to earn your net worth. You can buy it. We did. Peace out, everybody. Think on that one for a few minutes. Natasha, thanks for being here. Go ahead and hit me up. There's something in the chat. Digga. Yes, see? Crazy. Today, ladies and gentlemen, John D. Rockefeller Day. Okay. Well, not your death day isn't the one you celebrate. You celebrate your birthday, but anyway,